Nice to see you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is 10 a.m. in the Eastern time zone and the third Saturday of the month. So you know where I'm going to be. So welcome everyone to our meeting today. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad to see our members that have joined us today, and I'm glad to see our guests who have joined us today. I'm looking forward to a great meeting. What we do on the third Saturday and the first Thursday of the month is prepared presentations, prepared speeches, and we also do impromptu speaking. You'll get to witness some of that today. And we do evaluations. So we do evaluations normally in our meetings. And today we have a panel. And so for our special events, we have a debate or a panel. So stay tuned to see what all we may be offering. You may, if you came in through Eventbrite, we have your email address and you can be notified when other meetings are taking place and when other speaking opportunities are taking place or becoming a member. But you could always unsubscribe. And if you didn't come in through Eventbrite, you may put your email address in the chat. And at the very end of the meeting, I will ask everyone to save the chat, and we'll save the chat. So what I would like to do is turn the meeting over now to the Toastmaster of the day, who is going to give us a little idea of how the next hour will go and welcome us all. So would you take the stage, Jeff Bott?
Thank you, Joy. I'm going to be handing it right back to you shortly because you're going to be the panel facilitator. But today, as Joy mentioned, we have a special meeting featuring a panel discussion with members of the Women's Prosperity Network. That'll be followed by a 10-minute Q&A. TV Toastmasters is a club where we practice our communication skills at every meeting. So for that reason, we will have some normal meeting roles, and I'll introduce the first one, and that is the role of timer, David Ash.
Yes, I'm going to be the timer today. Joy, I don't think we actually talked about the timing for the panel discussion. So did you want two separate time slots, like one for the panel and then one for the Q&A, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, that sounds good, David. So why don't you give me the signal at 26 minutes that it's a green light, and then at 28 minutes, it's a yellow light. And by 30 minutes, I should be wrapping up with the question portion for the panel. And then we'll go into questions and answers to see if other attendees have questions for the panel.
So the 30, is there a separate timer for the question part, or is that also the?
Well, I think there was 10 minutes on the agenda for the questions and answers. So should we do 8, 9, and 10?
Okay, very good. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be the timer. Ordinarily, I would be giving shorter time intervals, but essentially, when we get to the times that Joy just mentioned at 26 minutes in the panel, I'll be showing green, then yellow at 28, then red at 30, and we talked about the Q&A. Then when we get to table topics later on, it's going to be 1 minute. This is impromptu speaking later on in the meeting. It's going to be 1 minute, 1.5, and 2 minutes. So I think that's we're not going to have any regular speeches. So I think that's what to expect as timer. And whenever we get to red, it's time to wrap up within 30 seconds, or we'll get now. Just kidding, but if that red means time to wrap up in any given part of the meeting. Thank you. Back to you, Joy.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. The other role that we want to introduce today is the word counter grammarian. Now that's going to be Elizabeth Irvin. We will not be capturing or tracking ahs and ums for our panelists. This is really just for the table topics. But on to you, Betsy.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. The word of the day is enlighten, and I will be looking for usage of the word. We hope to be enlightened by the panel today, and also some things during the table topics. Back to you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to enlighten somebody, hopefully not by surprise. Veronica had offered to be our general evaluator, so I'm hoping she will do that today. As other people have said, we won't have an evaluator for the panel, but if Veronica, you could make some comments about the overall meeting at the end, would you be okay with that?
Person. Thank you.
Awesome. And without further ado, let's get into our panel discussion. Let me introduce the facilitator for today, and that is, of course, Joy Harris. She's a member of the Women's Prosperity Network, an author, a success coach, a successful in business with Procter & Gamble, and a stress management expert. She's also the president of TV Toastmasters. Welcome, Joy Harris.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. I'm really excited to see guests here today and to have our panelists from the Women's Prosperity Network expert book that was published in September of this year. All of our speakers today are in the Women's Prosperity Network. And what I'd like to do is go around and ask each one to tell a little bit about what their business is. And I think I'll go first. I was also featured in this book, and the name of my chapter was Discover the Leader Within. So I think it's important to say I wrote about leadership because I do coaching, and I do the kind of coaching where you encourage people and you encourage your clients. It's like having a guide on the side that you are able to get feedback, you're able to feel supported, and you are able to really understand that it's a partnership so that the clients can build upward momentum, both in their careers and in their lives. I ask clients to meet me at the intersection of personal development and professional development. And what we've all probably experienced is that professional development, many times people are compelled to invest in their development to keep up their certifications. But when you invest in your personal development, it's a very deep commitment, and it is a commitment to wanting to bring about your best self. That's a little bit about coaching, a little bit about me. I want to get to the rest of the panelists. So I'm going to ask Kara Nuzinoff, Kara Nuzinoff to speak next. And Kara comes to us as a poet, a teacher, a collage artist, and she has joyfully led workshops for decades at the Poetry Buffet Party. Now, she's appeared at laughter yoga clubs and is known for art journaling, presenting original prompts, and enabling participants to write original work and to laugh and meditate at any age. So, Kara, could you come off mute and tell us a little bit about what laughter yoga even is, and how did you become involved teaching laughter yoga?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, Kara.
Thank you. Well, I was in an audience probably 20 or 30 years ago, and all of a sudden everyone started laughing. If you can imagine being in a room with several hundred people. And then I found out that there was a leader in the room, and the leader was giving us these exercises, which weren't like regular yoga, but because we call it laughing or laughter yoga, the exercises were just imitations. So your brain doesn't actually know that it is copycatting. And if a couple of people in the room are laughing, everyone starts laughing. So I said to myself, I have to spread this all over the place because it's so much joy. And afterwards, you walk out of the room and you feel so really great. And so I started exploring into what laughter yoga is. And there was a doctor in India, Dr. Madan Kataria, who found out, he's a cardiologist, he found out that his patients would get well quicker if he laughed with them and told them jokes. Well, after a few weeks of meeting in the park and telling jokes, he ran out of jokes. So he decided that he could just make up these little exercises for people to imitate, and that everybody would start laughing and they'd have this intake of oxygen and serotonin and all these other feel-good hormones, and he would just feel so much, they would just feel so much better. So that's what he did. He made up all these exercises to imitate. And, you know, your brain doesn't know if you're real laughing or fake laughing. It's just you get all of this intake that makes you feel better. So I took the poetry therapy, the laughter yoga, the journaling, all the different things that I did, painting, and I kind of wrapped them all in a package and had my workshops, which I call the Poetry Buffet Party, and decided to help people by giving them prompts if they wanted to write poetry or if they wanted to start a book. And then that's how it all started, just by sitting in a room with everybody laughing.
Thank you. Very interesting. I have experienced laughter yoga, and the only thing I know about it is it's contagious.
Yes.
It really is contagious. So I'd like to hear a little bit from Leah Carr. And Leah is an author, a speaker, an international educator, and energy healer. Also, she is a success, mindset, and manifesting coach. She's known as a leader, a teacher, and a master manifester. Leah has been a CEO and president of multiple corporations in the wellness industry. So, Leah, can you tell us a little bit? Your chapter was about visualization. Can you tell us a little bit about what visualization even is, and how does that help with success?
Well, good morning, everyone. Visualization is, I think, one of our greatest gifts and abilities that we have that is unique to individuals. And visualization is kind of like your internal movie theater. And it has the power to help you visualize your goals and see them coming to fruition and in the form of manifestation. But it's a very, very powerful tool. It helps you to gain clarity and to gain focus and enlightenment at times. So hopefully, as I share some things with you today about that, it'll enlighten you a little further on the benefits of visualization, and hopefully you'll begin to introduce it into your daily rituals and your success rituals and begin to see things change in your own life through the power of your mind and the ability to see and work through your goals and even situations and challenges in life.
Is that something you recommend that people do daily? They invest their time in visualization?
Absolutely. I mean, it's an investment in yourself, and even just a few minutes can make a big difference. You don't have to sit and go into the Om chant and cross your legs and get into a yoga pose for hours, but just a few minutes to just close your eyes and just kind of go into that inner world and begin to picture the reality that you want to create or visualize your goals being achieved. But I tell many of my clients and my, with brick and mortar business and online businesses, that the brain works with pictures. So only send it the ones you want developed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, one of our speakers is having a little bit of trouble getting in. So, Rita Thomas, have you joined? Okay. We're going to come back to Rita. So I guess I'll go again. I would like to just mention a little bit about what I said in my chapter of the WPN Experts book. And what I chose to talk about was leadership. And I said that I have 3 C's that I use in my training or in my coaching. And the first C is the clarity, to have the clarity to know who you are and what is important to you, and really how you want to project yourself. The second C is confidence. And that is a lot about what I do in my coaching. I build confidence in my clients and help draw it out. I can't give you confidence, but I can help draw it out. And the third C is the communication skills. And my chapter is written as though you are a leader in your workplace, but leadership is so important, whether it is speaking up at the PTA meeting, speaking up at your homeowners association meeting. And there are people that are too shy to get on Zoom, or they're too shy to speak up at a PTA meeting. So my goal is to help people bring their confidence out and help them speak up as appropriate. So I am going to go back to Kara. And Kara, let's talk a little bit about the modalities that you combine in your workshops. So tell us a little bit more about your workshops, and come off mute to tell us the modalities that you use.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thanks again for having me today. This is a new platform for me, and I find it wonderful to be able to express yourself. So I combine many hats. Sometimes it gets confusing. What hat am I wearing today? So I combine laughter yoga, which of course now we know that is all laughing together to get more oxygen and feel better. I have Kara's Laughter Lounge, where we all get together and I volunteer and people can laugh together. There's poetry therapy, where we use poems and words to express ourselves. Art journaling, where we can do collages and it brings up feelings and we can write about the feelings. I'm a hobby photographer, and we can use photography in collage. All these different hobbies. So I combine them all at my poetry buffet parties. And then I have Kara's Creative Circle, which I'm trying to activate so that everybody can get together and laugh more. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. So everybody can get together and laugh more. That's got to be healthy. Is that good for your health?
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm not a psychologist or an expert in that field. I'm a teacher. So what I'm trying to do in the world is spread the laughter, give people suggestions. Like, for instance, my most popular suggestion is when you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth and you're getting ready for your day, look in the mirror for an extra minute and laugh. And your body sees your face laughing and you feel much better. And you just can take a minute to do that, and it makes you feel, gives you an up. If you're already feeling good, you're really ready for your day. If your day is impossible because of the things going on in your life, just that fake laughter coming and seeing yourself in the mirror and laughing gives you a nice boost.
I believe it. I really do. Like I said, I've experienced the contagion of it. So I'd like to go back to Leah, because Leah talks to us about visualization. It was what her chapter was about in the WPN Experts book. Now, Leah, is there any science behind visualization? So we're saying it's good for us, but what is the science behind visualization?
There is science behind it. It's not all woo-woo. And so they have done studies. So when you visualize, you're actually activating that frontal cortex and the amygdala, as well as, activating new neural pathways within your brain. So it helps your brain to be healthier, actually. And it also works with an amazing part of our brain that's in our brainstem area. That's the reticular activating system. And this is the filter system that's built into our amazing brains. But we capture and see thousands and thousands of bits of information every day, every moment. There's, information all around us from everyone on the panel in our view right now. But your reticular activating system is an area that helps filter out all those bits of information and keys in and focuses on things maybe you're wanting to achieve. Or for instance, if you're looking to buy a car and you want a red car, suddenly you'll see that car and red cars everywhere. I know I experienced it with one of my dream cars was a black Mercedes, and I began to see black Mercedes everywhere. And even in visualization, visualizing myself driving the Mercedes and sitting in the Mercedes. And I'll tell you that when I actually manifested that Mercedes, it was surreal that it was almost as though I couldn't tell the difference between what was real and what was imagined in my visualizations. And as Kara had said, the brain does not know the difference between what's real and imagined. Even from a physiological perspective, some people will give the example of, imagine yourself biting into a lemon, a juicy lemon, the bitterness, and suddenly your saliva glands begin to, excrete. And so when we visualize, the science behind it is you want to give your brain the pictures you want it to achieve. So you can imagine a worst case scenario, and often people do, they'll get into a worry cycle. But at the same time, physiologically, your body is responding as though that is real. And in my brick and mortar practice, I have a wellness center, but as well as when I'm teaching, I do an exercise called the mind stretch that demonstrates with people physically in person that how when you imagine something, you can physically change what the body does. And it's always leaves people kind of with a wow moment. And the brain, once it's come into that realization, you can't go back to life the way it was before.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. I enjoy visualization quite a bit. So it's good to know a little bit more about it, though. Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. I don't know that Rita Thomas has joined us. Like I said, she's having some
Yep.
trouble.
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Rita.
Hi,
Rita,
Joy. Thank
are
you.
you
Yes.
ready to speak? Because you will be next.
Yes, I am. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Let me give you a proper introduction. And I apologize. I'm trying to send you the link and everything at the last minute. But Rita Thomas is an entrepreneur, one of the chapter writers in the Women's Prosperity Network Expert book, Volume 2. And she's an automation specialist. She's also a speaker and an Air Force veteran who has committed to showing entrepreneurs how to make the most of their assets as they work in their business. She's a certified partner in customer relationship management, and she teaches and supports her clients through automation systems. So what we did right before you joined, we all went through and talked a little bit about, well, what is it we do? And I would like to ask you, there are going to be people who are not familiar with a customer relationship management system. So what is it and why is it important for businesses today? You may come off mute and take the floor.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and I really appreciate your understanding. I'm traveling for the holidays, and so I'm joining from the car, but I'm not the driver. So, so a customer management system, as you can imagine, it keeps track of everything about all of your customers, including your leads and prospects, the vendors that you work with, all of the people that touch your business or that you touch during the course of your business. So of course it keeps their name and phone number and email and address. It keeps a whole lot of other information. For example, did they buy something from you? What did they buy? Did they download your free offer? When did that happen? How long did it take from the time they downloaded the free offer until they actually bought something from you? You can set up those automatic email drip system in there. And so you can keep in touch with people, because think about it. Only about 3% of the people that you meet and you tell them what you do are ready today to hand over money and buy what you have. 3%. And so the other 97%, you need to stay top of mind with them and help them understand what you do and why they need it, or why it's going to change their life and how they can work with you. So you can do that through a series of touch points, emails and text messages and phone calls and seeing them again. And you can set all that up on automation. I mean, it sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like a lot of things for one person to do. Meanwhile, you're still developing new products and meeting new people and going through the other parts of your business, doing your bookkeeping and all those things. So you can set all that up one time, and then it runs smoothly and perfectly without a flaw every time you meet a new person. You put them in your system, and the touches start happening. And some of those touches you can do yourself. They're not all automated. They're not cold and robotic like a lot of people think of with automation. They say, but I want my own personal touch. I don't want to use automation. And if you think about it like this, it's just letting you multiply and expand your own personal touch to every single person. If you're going to go pretty much crazy, and some mistakes are going to be made if you're trying to touch every single client at every step of their journey, because they're getting in touch with you 24/7. We work in a global world. Plus, you want to sleep, you want to have time with your family, you want to do some other things.
Thank you for explaining that. And that makes perfect sense that we are trying to expand our own natural abilities. All right. Well, we're going around taking turns. And I was also featured in the Women's Prosperity Network book. So I'm going to talk a little bit about another type of coaching. I explained the 3 C's that I use in coaching, and I have used the 3 P's in coaching as well, because I have experience coaching authors and writers and writer wannabe authors. So the 3 P's that I use in my practice are: produce the manuscript. So I'll work with people if they are just getting their inkling of what they want to write. And some people want to write for their own gain, and other people want to write to be a successful author and go on book tours. And people have different reasons to want to write or to want to be an author. So producing the manuscript is a good step. The next step is to publish your book. And Women's Prosperity Network has at least 2 publishers. There's a book publisher here on the call today who has published children's books. And I am in a position to recommend information about self-publishing, information about query letters to large publishing houses. A lot of referrals would happen there. I don't have to do all of the hands-on with publishing your book, but producing the manuscript and publishing the book. And that road can take a lot of different avenues for a lot of different people. Now, the 3rd P is promote your book. And it does not happen in that order. Promote your book starts while you're writing the manuscript. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit more about coaching. So I'd like to go back to Kara. So Kara, when you come off mute, I have a question. I understand you have such a wide variety of things that you do. Could you tell me what poetry therapy is? Just what is poetry therapy?
Sure. Poetry therapy, I'm a poetry therapy practitioner, and we promote growth and healing through language, also through symbol and through stories. So it relies on the use of poems, stories, song lyrics, imagery, metaphor, to enable or to facilitate personal growth. It helps you to heal sometimes. It could help you to gain greater self-awareness. Bibliotherapy, you may have heard that term, is part of and also narrative, journal writing, expressive writing, storytelling, and we combine all of these things to enable people to release feelings and hopefully to gain a little perspective on all the chatter that's going on in their mind. That's it in a nutshell. There are all kinds of practitioners. Some people are psychologists, some people are writers. I'm a poet. That's how I got into it originally. I've been writing poetry since the age of 8. And so I try in my workshops to get people to engage, find words that if I'm using poetry therapy in my workshop, to find words to write about that helps to release feelings or to make them feel better. That's basically what we do.
I find that fascinating. We have, as I said, a published book author on the call here today, obviously more than one, but she invited a guest that we had a whole haiku meeting. And we actually took a few moments to write some haikus based on her information. So yeah, very fascinating. Thank you, Kara. So I'm going to go back to Leah for our panel, who told us what visualization is and how it can help with success. She told us a little bit about the science behind visualization. So I have a question. Can visualization actually help someone define their goals and aspirations? Could you speak about that a little bit?
It definitely can. It acts as a mental roadmap to success. So when you're vividly imagining those ideal outcomes, sometimes as you're going through that scenario, you realize, okay, maybe that isn't something I want. So it helps you clarify those desires and set, specific, tangible goals. But it's almost like you're creating that blueprint of the life you want to build. But it also helps to motivate you and to align your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, even your aspirations of what you would like to see life to look like in the future. So it definitely helps, to define those goals. And it's where when you see it in your mind that it's achievable, it makes you more encouraged to actually take the constant steps towards actually achieving those goals.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that because at this time of year, so many people are talking about goal setting. Do you help people set their goals, like a quarterly goal or a annual goal at all?
I do. I've actually encouraged people to create almost like their end of the year map. Don't wait till January 1st and then go, oh my goodness, what am I going to do in my business? But to take and have that blueprint for the year, make your quarters, if you will, so it's not overwhelming. But then think, what is the goal that I want to achieve for the first quarter, the second, the third, and then break those down into smaller bits. And then begin to visualize, how does that look? What is that going to feel like? What is it I want to achieve with that in that quarter? And sometimes you may have really big goals that may take multiple parts of a year. It may take, half a year to accomplish. For some of us, being involved in writing the book that we're now published in, that was a journey that, everyone initially started out with, a vision, a desire. So then, you saw yourself writing and your brain works with those pictures. So everything we see in the world began with a thought and an image of that being in the real world, tangible. So start with that mental blueprint first and then work your way through the year.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah. That's really important. It's really important to visualize your goals. So I'd like to go back to Rita now. Rita, we're going to wrap up this portion and take questions from the audience. But before we do, I'd like to give you about 2 minutes because you are a business owner and there are other business owners who might be on the fence about adopting a CRM system. So do you have any tips or any advice to offer them about the importance of a CRM?
Yes, absolutely. So, and this is one of the times when you can start with just a portion of it. So, people tell me sometimes, well, I'm not using all the features, so I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop and stop paying for it and stop using it because I'm not using all the features. But you don't have to. There are always going to be features in any software program that you use that you don't need right now, but they are there for you when you're ready. As you grow into it and you get better at what you're doing and you're managing the information, then you have features there. So don't feel like you have to use every feature of the software right away. And by that same token, look for one that's got enough features that you're going to be able to grow into it. Because changing your CRM after you have one, and then that CRM is the customer relationship management system that we're talking about. That's kind of it can be a pain and not into it. So pick one that's gonna be available and have all the features that you want in the near future. And also, again, don't feel like you have to use everything right away. I have 2 or 3 things that I think you should start doing right away. All your contacts in there and all the information you know about them. My local, separate, of course, from my international and nationwide, because if I'm promoting an event that's happening locally, doesn't want to hear about that. That could be annoying to them. So then I would only send a message out to the people that live locally. I track veterans. If I meet someone and they're a veteran like me, then I track that. So then I can speak to them about something we have in common when I'm communicating with them. Again, like I said before, if they download my free offer and then they buy something from me, they attend a webinar, I want to be able to see that right before I call them.
You're
Fresh in
breaking
my
up a
mind.
little bit.
All that information is stored. Oh, yeah. I can stop my video and I may be traveling in.
Okay. Well,
That's
we're
that's
going
the
to
most important thing is use the features that you can at your level and be ready when you grow up into your business and grow up into your CRM. You'll find other ways to use the other better features in there. And I'm happy to meet with anybody. I can put in the chat have a one-to-one little Zoom meeting, okay?
All right. I'm asking all of the panelists to or everyone to put your email in the chat. And right now we're going to move into our Ask the Audience to ask questions. So I would like to see if there are any questions from the audience. And if you have a general question, we'll just open it up. But we have about 10 minutes. So we could potentially have a question for each speaker. I don't see any virtual hands going up because I just don't. So who would like to ask a question of our panel? And Jeff, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yes. First of all, let me take my hand down. Yeah, I have a question for Rita. So Rita, I actually enjoyed all the panelists today. Really good information. I worked in IT. I'm retired now. I had a little bit of exposure to like Salesforce and some different CRM systems, but you mentioned the 97%, 3%. 3% of your base is kind of natural. They may buy your product. 90% requires outreach effort. I'm wondering if you've heard of the rule of six. And if basically the rule is that a potential customer needs to come across a brand or message 6 times before they make a purchasing decision.
Yeah, actually, I have heard of that. And I have heard in the past, say, 5 years or 6 years, that has multiplied and multiplied. So it's more like 15 at this point. And they need to come across your touches, we're calling them. So you meeting them or talking to them seeing your logo other places, hearing other people talk about you, looking at your website, all of those things. They don't just need 6 anymore, they need more like 15. And it's because we're all inundated with constant stimulus, right? There's so many people marketing to us all the time through every possible channel that we can tune it out. So that's why it takes so many now compared to that. But yeah, for sure, I've heard of that.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. And do we have another question? Janet, I see your hand. Could you come off mute and tell us your question?
Could you give us an example of a laughter exercise?
Sure. Yeah. I'm in Florida, so we're all going to take a seashell and put it into our hand. If you could all do that. Now, do you know how when you put a seashell next to your ear, you hear it? You hear echoes and sound? Oh, there you go. A real seashell. Can you hear the sound? Okay, so the seashell is saying to you, ha, ha, ha. So repeat that after me, everybody, out loud. Ha, 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 ha. So if you actually did that, you will feel that boost of oxygen coming in as you were laughing.
I think you're right, Kara. I knew we would laugh today. I knew there was going to be laughter.
So,
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question. Let's see. I don't see any hands up. Am I going to have to ask another question, or do we have a question for the panelists? All right. I don't see any. I'm going to ask Leah a question. Leah, have you benefited from being in a compilation book? Maybe you're in another compilation book, or maybe you're interested in writing your own book. But do you see a benefit of being a published author to help you in your career, in your business?
I do. I think it just adds to your credibility. One of the other ladies that was in the first compilation book, she had told me that she had encountered someone that she was doing some business with, and they had looked her up. And they were comparing doing business with her and someone else. And they said, oh, but I saw that you were a best-selling author. So I knew you were serious and you were professional. So, it can come up in ways that you have no idea that people are Googling to see, what is your background? What's your area of expertise? And it just, again, adds another layer of credibility. And even the other day, I was listening to a podcast about publishing and self-publishing. And they said that depending on your field, sometimes people just don't know where to, what avenue, what road to put you in. And this particular woman did things, with mindset and that sort of area, and said that, but the moment she became a published author, then they knew what lane she was in, and they could say, oh, well, you're an author and you speak on and write on this. So it gives you, a little more definition. And for some people that, as topics and different careers emerge, and life coach, that term didn't exist many years ago, so for some they're like, what is a life coach? But it helps to legitimize to a degree, and it helps to put you in a lane that some can define.
I like that. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the audience? I can't see if your hands are up. So I would like to say that the Itty Bitty Publishing that we went through, thanks to their promotion of the book, the Itty Bitty Publishing Women's Prosperity Network Experts Volume 2 was launched in September and quickly became a bestseller in 3 categories: the business and short money reads, entrepreneurship management, and business management. We became Amazon award-winning bestsellers in 3 categories. And I'm really proud to share that book with the speakers and the panelists that we've had today. And I would like to turn the rest of the meeting back over to the Toastmaster of the day as we have some enlightening. I didn't write down the word of the day. I think it was enlightening. We have had some enlightening topics to discuss today. And I'm hoping that that was the word, because when I find out what the word is, I'm going to sneak it in again. All right. So back to you, Toastmaster Jeff.
Thank you, Joy. If everybody would just give a round of applause for our panelists and our moderator, Joy. It was fantastic. It was enlightening. Enlighten was the word of the day. You got it right. By the way, in the chat, I do have a link to the book on Amazon. I have the book right here. Fantastic book. All of the people that spoke today are in the book. They've written the chapter. So let's move on to the rest of our meeting. As I said before, all of us like to practice. That's why we come to these Toastmaster meetings. We practice our impromptu skills, our prepared speeches, evaluations. So I'm going to transition to the table topics, which is the impromptu portion of the meeting. David Ash.
Thank you, Jeff, Mr. Toastmaster, and thank you, Joy, and thank you to all of the panelists who have come in and definitely have enlightened me about certain topics with regard to a number of topics. I especially like I especially like the fact that there's something. Visualization is not just hooey. There's actually something that happens in the brain with the amygdala. I like that insight. So we'd like to give everyone a chance to talk at one point in our meetings, and Table Topics is a good vehicle for that. I will be asking you a question, and it will be an opportunity to speak for 1 to 2 minutes. You can answer the question that I asked, or you can be like a politician and answer whatever question you want to ask if you don't quite like my question. We do have a lot of guests today, and I do appreciate everyone coming today. To give a little bit of a sense as to what's involved in Table Topics, I think I will call on a member of the club to kick us off, and then I may ask one or more of our guests to, if they'd like to speak. Jenna, would you care to take a Table Topics question today? I think you're on mute.
Okay.
Can you take a question?
All right.
Okay. The questions are going to be randomly drawn from a hat here. And we'll see what's questions. All the questions are somewhat related to prosperity today, because that I understood it was the Women's Prosperity Network. And okay, Janet, does prosperity mean to you?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic, for that question. I was just wondering myself what prosperity meant, and I was asking my husband, and he said that it was performing well financially, or we were thinking it could be performing well with your leadership skills or business, performing well with your family or church or whatever. You can be a prosperous person by just learning how to laugh more and closely, another word, close to prosperity. I'm not sure if I'm saying the word right. Is lots. I can't remember the other word. It starts with P. It's real similar. Prosperous. But anyway, I'm thankful that the Prosperity Network came to our meeting today and enlightened us with their knowledge. Thank you.
And that's kind of, thank you, Janet. Okay, I'm glad again we have a number of guests today. Linda, I don't know if we've met before, but with the example Janet gave, Linda, would you be interested in taking a table topics question? And it's okay if not, but it's okay if yes too. Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let me just, I'm going to change my background here so that you're not thinking about time. Okay, so I'm once again going back to the hat here. And again, this is 1 to 2 minutes. So, and I'll be giving you a green light at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, and then red at 2. Okay. Okay. How does personal happiness relate to being successful, if at all? How does personal happiness relate to being successful, if at all?
Well, I knew how to answer the last question. I'm not sure about this one. To success.
Linda, it's fine if you want to answer the last questions. Like he said, be a politician. Answer whatever question you want.
Absolutely. And all these questions are somewhat similar. So,
Okay, I'm not sure the answer to this one, but the last one, what prosperity means to me, it correlates to abundance and having more than enough. So having more than enough to meet my obligations, having more than enough to enjoy my life. So prosperity to me means having more than enough. And I'm done.
okay. Thank you, Linda. Derek, would I notice you have joined our meeting? Would you like to take a tabletop question?
Which one?
So you're ready to take a question, or do you want to hear the question?
Oh yeah, no, I'll hear the question. Sure.
Okay. Okay. So drawing again from the hat here. And again, as Joy said, if you don't like the question or found an earlier question easier to answer, that's fine. Okay, Derek, if you wanted to become more prosperous, what actions would you take? If you wanted to become more prosperous, what actions would you take?
I would identify well, first off, prosperity to me isn't just money. I think to be truly prosperous, I think you have to be in alignment. To be truly prosperous, you need to be in alignment in all areas of your life, I believe. And I apologize. What was the question again? Sorry about that.
If you wanted to become more prosperous, what actions would you take?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I would take a look at each area of my life and I would find out really what's missing in those areas. And then I would, I'm kind of a linear person. So I would then look at those areas and figure out what do I need to do to kind of increase them. And prosperity is happiness too. You have to be happy. You know, you can have everything in the world, but if you're not happy, you know, you're just going to be some grindy little billionaire on social media. You know, it's unfortunate, and you end up taking that out on the people around you as you gain power too, right? So you don't want to be a business owner like that. You really don't. Be happy, be prosperous, whatever that means to you, and, you know, do your thing. I hope that answers the question anyway.
Okay, thank you, Derek. And let's see Tamarin, I don't think we've heard from you yet, and it's okay if you want to take a question, and okay if not. I saw you there briefly. Yeah.
Was the question regarding prosperity?
Well, what I do is I pick a question from the hat here. So yes.
Oh, okay.
It'll be something related to prosperity or something similar. But
okay.
Try to give it the question, then you can decide if you want. Yeah. And again, as Joy said, feel free to answer a different question if you don't like this one. Okay, well, this is actually very similar to the one I gave Derek. So it's almost the same question, but just slightly different focus. So Tamarin, if someone wanted to become more prosperous, what actions should they take?
If someone wants to become more prosperous, what action should they take?
Yeah.
I think it needs to start with small actions daily. And instead of just making prosperity your goal, think about where you want to be in 5 years and work backwards up to that point and figure out what the actionable things are that you can be doing daily, weekly to get to that place instead of just, I want prosperity. And to also ask yourself, what does prosperity mean to you? What does prosperity look like? And what would that be in 5 years? And to look at it more in terms of goals and goal setting.
Okay.
Victoria's going nuts with lots of clapping.
David, I think we're going to wrap up if that's okay.
Yes, it is. I think everyone's now had a chance to speak, I believe, or at least been offered the chance. So, yes, time to start to wind down.
And, if you want to be more prosperous, attend a TV Toastmasters on the first Thursday and the third Saturday, especially when we have the WPN panelists here. That's how you can be more prosperous. But that fantastic answers for all the table topics people. I know that's kind of the goal. You surprise people. Hey, do you want to try a table topic? And they're like, and you guys did fantastic. Loved it. Now we'll move on to the final part of our meeting, which is the evaluation portion. And I know we're running a little out of time. I'm going to introduce Veronica, and she's going to be the general evaluator.
Hi, absolutely. And can everybody hear me okay? Yep, got it. Thank you so much. All right. So first off, kudos to David Ash, who is both the timer and the table topics master. So that's off to you. Do you want to go ahead and give the time?
Thank you, Veronica, Madam General Evaluator. Yes, so the timers report for the panel. I think for the panel, we basically kind of worked out okay in the end. The first part for the main panel part, we ran a little bit over at 31 minutes. 42 seconds was supposed to be 30 minutes, but we got a little bit of time back in the Q&A part, which was a little bit shorter than scheduled, 7 minutes, 20 seconds. So overall, it worked out fine. Table topics scheduled for 1 to 2 minutes. Again, I really appreciate all of our guests speaking up and taking that opportunity. Janet was 1 minute, 24 seconds. Linda, 45 seconds. Derek, 1 minute, 15 seconds. And then finally, Tamara, exactly 1 minute. So great. Everyone was on schedule.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. All right. And now for Janet Castellan for the grammarian. And I'm sorry. Who is our grammarian? Janet's shaking her head.
It's me.
Janet. Oh, Betsy, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. You enlightened me. Oops. I just stuck that in.
Okay, thanks. Other people that use the word enlightened, Leah, Jeff, Joy, and of course yourself. And Oz, Jeff had an and Janet just had a kind of a long pause. So maybe it's good to think of a way to move on if you can't think of something. But that's all I have to say. I'm done. Thank you. Back to you, Victoria. Veronica.
Thanks, Betsy. No worries at all. All right. Well, thanks to Joy, Leah, Kara, and Rita for an excellent panel. Really interesting topics, great panelists, and useful advice. The brain works with pictures. Only send in pictures you want. The quote that I wrote down. The CRM information, I know our club needs it. Poetry, visualization, laughter yoga, all wonderful. Thanks to our guests, Derek Kay, Linda Lindquist, Tamara Legg, and Sandy Duran for joining us. Really, really nice to have guests in addition to our final perfect panelists. Our meeting started promptly with intros and chit chat even before the meeting began, which is always fun. To make the meeting even better, I would say that to clarify, and no criticism is meant, we're always just growing and trying to do better. That's what the evaluation portion is about. Is to clarify the timing and the pronunciation of names in advance. So during that chit chat period, that would have been a perfect time to do that. But no worries. I really, really appreciate both panelists, our regular members, and all of our guests. And please feel free to join us again at any time. We're on Meetup, we're on Eventbrite, where you now have our link, which you could use anytime. You don't have to register. And thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Excuse me, Mr. Toastmaster. Jeff.
Toastmaster. I'll throw it right back to Joy, our president, to close out the meeting.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. This has been a lot of fun. And I really appreciate the guests who spoke up because that's what we're all about. We're all about presentations, 4 minutes for an icebreaker speech, 5 to 7 minutes for a speech to follow, getting a certification. We have more than one distinguished Toastmaster here today. I'm going to give Joe Schwerling the award for having red and green on today. We saw your outfit, Joe. You are in the spirit. So I would like to thank everyone for joining today. As we have been saying, the first Thursday of the month, the third Saturday, first Thursday at 6 p.m., the third Saturday. I would like to wrap up the meeting. You can put information in the chat because we're going to close the recording, but you're welcome to stay on a few minutes if you want to give more feedback or just talk, but put your information in the chat. If you came in through Eventbrite, we have your email. And if you did not, put your email in the chat and we can be sure and keep up with you. And of course, if you get a newsletter, you may unsubscribe. But I'm so appreciative of everyone who joined here today. So I'm officially going to wrap up the meeting of